So now we're in section 2. We're going to look at some of the things that happened beyond Italy with the Renaissance. Scientific advances were made during this time because Greek scientific records were finally rediscovered. And they were able to base it off of the Greek scientific records, base some of things that they had realized then, and they're like, oh, well, we can add it to this field and build off of it. Renaissance scientists thought math could help people understand the universe, and so by the process, they created the mathematical systems for square root, positive and negative. I know you're just excited to find out more about the history of math, but now that is developed during this time. Engineers and architects also developed new techniques during the Renaissance as well. Students continue to learn about religious studies, but during this time, they also started studying humanities. Humanities is going to be stuff like psychology, history, different types of arts, and things like that. And Petrarch is a scholar that warned against ignoring history. And we talked about this at the beginning of the school year. Those that don't know history are doomed to repeat the same mistakes. This is a quote that sometimes is quoted as coming from Petrarch. There's a number of sources for that quote as well. Changes in education focused on history and the humanities. It says, "Oh, inglorious age, the scorn that scorns antiquity, its mother, to whom it owes every noble art. What can be said in defense of men of education who ought not to be ignorant of antiquity or ancient times, and yet are plunged in darkness and delusion?" This was a letter written from Petrarch to Boccaccio in 1366, talking to people who basically ignored the things that happened in the past. Travelers and artists helped spread Renaissance ideas throughout Europe. Papermaking spread from China to the Middle East and into Europe. And this is going to lead to Johann Gutenberg establishing the movable type printing press. And if you get a chance, and you should, watch the video on Google Classroom from the TV show Boy Meets World. I love that clip. It's a very outdated clip today, but the teacher, Mr. Feeney, is talking about the spread of the internet, which is very young at the time, and about how much access we have to technology at our fingertips, but yet we use it for useless things. And that in Gutenberg's time, people would just long to have a new book over months. And we have technology at our fingertips and don't utilize it the best way possible. It's a very good clip, one of my favorite clips. The movable type printing press is one that had each letter on a separate piece of metal. In 1456, and you kind of place it where you need to and do like that. It's similar to the woodblock printing style in Chinese history. In 1456, Gutenberg printed the Bible in Latin, and this helped more people become literate during this time because they had books to read. And this is an example of what a book would have looked like. Students from around Europe traveled to Italy to study. As Renaissance ideas spread around Europe, new universities opened up in France, Germany, and the Netherlands. Only men could attend universities, but wealthy families educated their daughters at home. So we're starting to see during this time universities opening up, especially secular universities. There have been a lot of Christian universities established, but these are going to be universities focused on a secular education or a non-religious education. As humanism spread into Northern Europe, it took on more of a religious tone. You see the development of Christian humanism, which is a blend of humanist and Christian ideas. And one of the people that spread this was Desiderius Erasmus, which was a Dutch priest that wanted reform in the church. And we're going to see that moving forward, a lot of these people are going to say, hey, you know what? Some of these humanist ideas are really good. Some of these ideas that there is power in the human spirit, and there is power in humanity, and we need to focus on this more so than anything else. And Desiderius Erasmus was a Dutch priest that believed that way. The Northern Renaissance focused on realism, especially with artwork. The people in Northern Renaissance paintings and sculptures didn't look like Greek gods, but normal people with flaws. Just like, and I know I look like a Greek god, but if they was to paint something like me, that would be the idea, is that They would paint normal looking people, not Greek god looking muscular people, even though I am. Albert Dürer is an artist that studied anatomy and could paint realistically. Because he studied anatomy, he was able to get the exact facial features, the way the hands moved, the way the body looked, because he knew how to study the anatomy of a human. This is some right here. I mean, you see, these people have bags under their eyes. They have hair out of place. Their face has creases, indentions, and wrinkles and stuff like that. Miguel de Cervantes wrote Don Quixote. William Shakespeare, is a great writer of the English language. He wrote 30 comedies, tragedies, and histories. There's just a couple of writers beyond Italy, of course. And you probably heard of Don Quixote. Surely you've heard of William Shakespeare. And these are some of the people that came out of the Renaissance outside of Italy. This is a quote from Don Quixote. All these storms falling upon us are signs that the weather will soon clear, and that things will go well for us, for neither good nor bad can last forever. And that brings us to the end of section 2.